Hello, everyone, to all you wonderful people out there. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. I wanted to take some time to talk a little bit about Valentine's Day and the origins. A lot of people think that Valentine's Day is a romantic day for chocolates and dates and love, but they really don't know the origins of Valentine's Day. Because before Valentine's was associated with what it is today, it was called Lupercalia. And I've talked about Lupercalia before, but we'll just touch on it again today. It was celebrated on February 15th to honor, what was the name? Lupercus, the god of fertility. He was the Roman god who the shepherds worshipped as the protector of the flocks against wolves, and he was also the promoter of fertility among sheep. So there was a legend back in the day that there was a Lupercal cave where Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were found. It was said that the twins' uncle, I'm not real good with how you say the names all the time, so please forgive me, but it was like Amulius or something like that, ordered them to be thrown into the Tiber River to drown. Nice, huh? To punish their mother for breaking her vow of celibacy. However, the servant who was called to toss them into the river chose not to do so, and instead the twins were placed inside a basket on the river, and eventually the boys were rescued and cared for by a she-wolf in a cave, which later became known as Lupercal, which is to honor the she-wolf and the god Lupercus. Yeah, so, there's a little bit on that. The Lupercal ritual originally started to honor the god Lupercus. The priests of the god Lupercus would gather in the cave, and they would have a great feast, eating and drinking, and after dinner the priest would sacrifice a goat and a dog to offer them to the gods. And then once the sacrifice was over, two men would come forward to represent Romulus and Remus, and a bloody knife would then be rubbed on their forehead, and the blood would be washed off with goat's milk. And the symbolism is that the violent acts of the founders are forgiven and washed away with the milk. That was their belief. And then once the sacrifice was over, the priest would make a trip out with the goat's hides. And the priest would take off all their clothes, and then they would leave the cave drunk and run up and down the streets while oh my gosh. And then when the priest saw someone in the city streets, they would hit them with their whips. So run around naked, get smacked around with a couple whips. Okay, sounds like a dominatrix, you know. It's also said that there was an element of matchmaking during the festival. Now, historians are still trying to determine if the festival started like this or if it was added later. However, the men would randomly draw names and pair up during the feast, which could lead to marriage in the future, but not always. Basically, people would get together and fuck. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the women didn't even want to, but their name was chosen. They were chosen. The men said, "We want you," and then they didn't really have a choice. It was supposed to bring good luck to the priest. Never mind. Yeah, it was supposed to bring good luck to the priests, making the women fertile, and it was supposed to ease the pain somehow of childbirth. It said that women would intentionally run up to the priests to get whipped. It wasn't a ritual that was seen as harmful or dangerous. Yes, yet it was one that brought out the fun and laughter of the locals, is what they say, because it was a big favorite holiday party among the Romans. And there was at one point where Pope Hilary wanted to ban the festival because it was a pagan holiday and very unchristian. However, he was unsuccessful. But in 496 AD, I'm terrible with the names, you guys. Pope Gelasius successfully removed the festival. And in 494, the pagan festival was turned into the Feast of Purification of the Virgin. However, it did not go away entirely, and many of the bishops' spiritual flock requested the festival to be reinstated, but it wasn't. The last organized resistance by the pagans was crushed by Theodosius I at the Battle of, Frigidus. Yeah, in Frigidus in 394, and riots resulted, and all public observances of pagan rites was suppressed by 408. And the Lupercalia was then filed under a class of superstitions. And the name Valentine is said to come from a holy priest, Saint Valentine, yet which Valentine priest needs it is not clear. Some believe it is Saint Valentine who illegally married lovers in secret, because it went against the Emperor Claudius II, who was also known as Claudius the Cruel. It went against his rule at the time, and Rome was involved in many bloody campaigns. It said that young men did not want to join the military, and Claudius believed because they did not want to leave their wives and families, so he outlawed marriage and engagements. How nice, right? So Saint Valentine disagreed and continued to marry young people, and eventually he was arrested and sentenced to death. Nice, right? So February 14th, Saint Valentine was beheaded. However, before Valentine was put to death, he left a note with a jailer's daughter with whom he fell in love with in prison, and signed it "From your Valentine." So it says in the note, "For this was on St. Valentine's Day, when every fowl comes there his mate to take. On every species that men know, I say, and then so huge a crowd did they make, that earth and sea and tree and every lake was so full, that there was scarcely places for me to stand, so full was all the place." The first Valentine's Day card was sent in 1415, when the Duke of Orleans sent a poem to his wife, while he was in prison. So he was a prisoner in the Tower of London, and he used the term Valentine to refer to his wife. Sadly, though, they never were able to reunite. And it said, "My gentle Valentine, since for me you were born too soon, and I for you was born too late, God forgives him who has estranged me from you for a whole year. I am already sick of love, my great gentle Valentine." But here in the U.S., Valentine's Day cards have become very popular. That started during the Revolutionary War, when couples would write letters to one another. And in the early 1900s, they started doing cards in mass production by, no other than Hallmark. So to this day, people are still celebrating Valentine's Day, but they really don't know anything about the origins. So there's just a little bit about it. Maybe I'll do another video. I don't know, but there's the basics, you guys. Welcome to the apocalypse. Have a great day. Peace.